Hey guys, it's Chris Ackland here. Welcome to part one of my breakdown series. I figured I would start with the Prince, as Zach Delander calls him, Lyu Xiaojun, one of the greatest snatchers of our generation. He's unbelievable to watch. What's even cooler is the fact that he's in his mid-30s now and he's still, chasing down another Olympic gold, especially to make up for what happened at Rio in 2016. In these series, I want to break down the positives. I want to break down what I like lifters do. This is all opinion. This is all what I've seen from my own coaching, and I hope it helps you guys. There are definitely things that lifters, some of the world's best, that don't do well, and I think that picking one lifter and copying them isn't necessarily the greatest option. I think we need to kind of find what works for us. So in today's video, we'll go through what I like about what Lyu does. He is the best snatcher, in recent memory, since probably Blagov from Bulgaria. I probably said that wrong. So without further ado, let's get stuck into it. So let's go through it. I'll watch it in normal speed. For those that don't know, this is 175 on the bar, 2015 Worlds. We don't need to hear that noise, do we? Oh, it's in super slow-mo. Well, let's get to watching super slow-mo. Who doesn't love watching Lyu Xiaojun lift epic weights in slow-mo? Snatch grip deadlift, let alone putting it above your head. Cool. All right, so let's break down what we like, and we're going to go through with it in a few different sweeps. The first point of call I want to look at, we're going to start from the ground and we're going to kind of work our way up. If it was a beginner and I was teaching them, I'd start at the hip and I'd work my way down. But this is one of the greatest snatches ever, so let's kind of look at what I like that he does. He doesn't have a dynamic start. Not that that's right or wrong, that's just kind of something to kind of pay attention to. What I want you to focus on this first time through is focus on the pressure with his feet. So he's pushing down. I coached it as push the world weight, push straight down into the floor. Keep the bar as close as possible, keep it as simple as possible. And look, so he gets all the way to his power position and his feet are pretty much flat. That weight is kind of center of foot. Like he's not going on his toes. He's not aiming to go on his toes. It's just kind of where he ends up. And I love this. Like his true power position, where his heels are still down, his shoulders are still slightly over the bar. The bar is in his hips. His arms are super long. So if we go back to that set position, whenever I coach someone, when they've started snatching from the floor, it is nice long arms, keep tightness in that upper back, and then push straight down into the floor. Next, let's kind of look at his hang position. What you'll notice with a lot of the best lifters is their hang positions are pretty similar. The knee position varies slightly, but Lyu does a really good example of that 90-degree shin that a lot of people kind of talk about. There are good examples of where the knee's slightly further forward. There are not a lot of good examples of the knee being further back than 90 degrees. So something to kind of keep in mind. And he's over the barbell. So his hamstrings are loaded. He's pretty much at that kind of full stretch position. And his foot is flat on the floor. So everything is kind of nice and tight. Let's go through into that kind of power position. Now, again, this is purely opinion. I don't think, he's not thinking force his knees through. He is literally thinking keeping the bar close, pushing straight down, and then extend, jump, whatever the cue is. But I don't think he's thinking about forcing his kind of knees through it. That is something that you'll hear people kind of coach. I think it needs to be almost reactive. It needs to be not necessarily that you're thinking about it, because then if you're thinking of your knees going forward, you're potentially going to throw those shoulders too far back. His knees probably end up roughly in line with his toes, which is if I was ever coaching high hang snatches and the bar's sitting in the hips, I would, when I look down and my shoulders are slightly over the bar in that power position, my knees are just slightly in line with my toes. So something to think about there. He extends, and look how vertically he extends. He's not thinking about going onto his toes, which a lot of people, that's their big focus, is this long pull, end up on the toes, you know, elbows through to the ears. He's just focused on squeezing his legs and extending as vertical as possible. Quads, glutes, hamstrings, his hip structure, everything. He's just ended up on his toes as kind of like a byproduct of that extension. From there, this is the part I love the best. The world's best lifters do not continue to pull or hold extension for a very, very long time. They hit extension, and then their hips start going straight down. Yet their arms continue to kind of guide that bar up to start to pull themselves into that position. But watch here. This is in slow-mo, and look how quick his hips, once they hit that lockout position, boom, they're in and out, and they're going straight down. Cool. And this is where, in the old Russian texts, one of my favorite snatchers from the old days was Dave Riggett. I used to just love those old videos, watching him lift. And in the old textbooks, the snatch and clean and jerk textbooks, they talk about Dave Riggett would beat his competitors. The height of the barbell was 119 centimeters, and he would fix it at 113 centimeters. The next best athlete was somewhere in the high 120s and would fix it at 119. So Dave didn't need to be the strongest. I know he was very, very strong. He was just the most efficient. He had such a good bottom position, similar to what Lyu does. His butt's pretty much touching the floor. And that is something that I try to instill a lot in my lifters. It doesn't matter how high you pull the bar. That is definitely important, but there is definitely a point of diminishing returns as to the height of the barbell. If we look at the height, if we look really closely, look at the apex. So the apex of the bar is right there. It's not going to get any higher from this point on. Look how low he already is. His elbows lock there, probably about there, and then it sinks from there. And so when they were saying 119 to 113 centimeters with Dave, Mr. Riggett, whatever you want to call him, 119 was the height of the barbell, and then 113 was where his elbows were locked. And then obviously there was that absorbing the force. But if we look at that drop, like I know that there are lifters in my gym who are capable of much bigger weights by becoming more efficient underneath the barbell. And most of the lifters are continuing to get stronger. They're focused a lot of their energy on their squats and their pulls, which you never want to stop that stuff, because we always need to be continuing to get stronger. It is weightlifting, but taking the time to develop that speed, that confidence underneath the barbell is huge. I look forward to kind of breaking down more lifters and actually being able to compare Lyu to some of the other snatchers in different weight classes as to the height. Lasher would be a really cool one to break down as well. And break down and see the difference in the height. And I reckon there would be some people who would potentially have a bigger bar drop from the time it gets to lockout. And that could be some of the limiting factors as to why, or not even a limiting factor, it could be just why Lyu is Lyu, right? That's why he snatches what he snatches. That and he's crazy strong. Awesome, guys. So that is it from me. That is it for part one of this breakdown series. I look forward to doing more. Follow Hook Grip, follow All Things Gyms, follow Weightlifting House, watch the videos, be huge fans, and support your local weightlifting club, guys. I'll catch you next time. Thank you for watching. Cheers.